The world has sold us a complete lie, all right? They have told us this backward system about how to handle money. And until we understand that, we're gonna fall into the same gold trap over and over and over again. And for men specifically, there's this massive pressure to be the financial provider, which I believe is biblical and you should do, but that pressure is literally destroying us.
Welcome to the Step Up Podcast, where our goal is to help you step up in every area of your life. I'm your host, Josh Thomas, and I'm joined by my pastor, Chris Kuba.
So you're doing some premarital counseling now?
I am
doing it for him?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm doing
How's
some
that?
premarital. It's fun. It's weird because I'm kind of coming out of being in weddings as like the groomsman.
Right.
To now kind of the officiant form.
Yeah.
And so I am. I'm excited for a few of the conversations we get to have, like hey, here's how to communicate. Here's how to, like, hey, bro, just take the trash out. Like, it's just going to be much better on you and like everybody. But I'm also I'm a little nervous on some of the conversations, like the budget and the finance piece of it.
Yeah.
Because that's something you and I talked about in my premarital.
Which I did your premarital counseling.
You did do my premarital counseling.
And it was exactly what you thought it would be.
Don't remind
right?
me of that.
I gave you a warning. I gave you a heads up.
You did.
I told you, I was like, I'm not in the, here's what I'm telling everybody.
This is fair.
When they asked me, I said, I am not in the wedding business. At the end of the day, you can get anybody else to do your party.
This is
I don't
true.
mean to minimize your party, but it is a party. I'm want to invest in your marriage.
Yeah.
And so therefore, I was just, I was helpful.
Lily and I were both grateful that Hillary was there. I'll just put it that way. We were both glad that she was there.
Good though. It was good because look. Here's the thing: you don't want someone that's going to be. I've told you when we started.
Yeah.
You can have your mom and you can have your friend tell you how awesome you are. Yeah. What you need me to do is to make sure when the rubber meets the road, you're ready, right? And you guys have done awesome. You guys have done incredible.
What was your so like you did my premarital counseling, of course. I'm doing some premarital counseling. What was yours like? What was surprising to you about your premarital?
Vividly remember it. Hillary and I both grew up in great families, great situations, Christian homes. We both gave our lives to the Lord early on. We kind of had in our minds the picture perfect little story. We were at Baylor. We started dating early in Baylor. We got married 2 weeks after we graduated, which by the way is so weird to think about because I've got a daughter that's about to start Baylor.
That's right.
And she could potentially be meeting her husband in a couple of weeks.
Oh,
but
wow.
whatever. That's a whole nother conversation and something weird going on. But I remember we took this assessment. This assessment was supposed to identify strength areas and growth areas in your relationship. Okay. Remember that? We talked.
I do.
We did it with you guys.
What
and
did
walked you through.
How'd y'all fare?
I felt like we kind of went off the board. It was just great. And so we were just thinking they were going to tell us all these wonderful things. And they said, hey, the 2 areas that you guys are going to have some problems in are family and finances.
Huh.
And I was like, that's dumb. Like at the end of the day, I love her family. She loves my family. Our families are great, whatever. That was a source of conflict for us. It is.
It's pretty spot on then.
Well, the benefit is we were able to work through some stuff and to be able to get there. And so we didn't let that become a source. We just grew up in very different situations and all that. So it was more of just kind of an expectations thing. They said the other one was going to be finances. And I was like, that's dumb. Like, we don't have any money. So how would that be a problem?
How's that a
whatsoever?
problem?
The number one issue in our house for 23 years.
Wow.
It's been finances. Hillary and I thought about it yesterday. I mean, we talked about, so it's gotten better. We know how to work through it. But man, I think this particular issue is one of those things that just the pressure keeps popping up and keeps coming through. And we have been abundantly provided for. It's not an issue of that. But man, it's just always been a source of both background is a little bit different, but also we talked about this last episode. We kind of introduced this whole concept though. It's one of the big temptations that can take down and does take down men all of the time. I mentioned my Joe Perry and his voice, gold, girls, and glory. Gold is what I want us to think about today. And I want us to think through what does this look like? Because this particular issue, this is crazy. 73% of Americans rank their finances as the number one stress in their lives. And for men specifically, there's this massive pressure to be the financial provider, which I believe is biblical and you should do,
Yeah.
but that pressure is literally destroying us.
Yeah, and I would even say for this one, for dads listening with their kids or listening with their sons particularly, this starts young. Like, this is whether you're making corporate Fortune 500 money or if you're making lemonade stand money. Like, kind of that pressure or that financial pressure of like getting more. And so, like, I definitely think that this is a topic that men of all ages can for sure lock in on. But what kind of pressure are we talking about here?
Okay.
PC?
Think about it, okay? From the time that we're kids, we're told that our worth is tied to what we can earn or what we can provide. So like how good and successful that you're cute, don't get me wrong. But if you don't make any money at the lemonade stand, you are not considered to be a success.
Yes, it's true.
And even though your parents may tell you how cute you are and take pictures and post it, whatever, if you don't bring in some money, you think this is dumb and you don't want to do it anymore, all right? So there's this kind of constant thing. 70% of Americans right now are feeling financially stressed. Wow. 56% say that not having enough emergency savings negatively affects their mental health. Over half of the country says that that is the case. Here's the crazy part. Even guys making good money are struggling. 57% of people that are making over $100,000 say that they feel financially stressed.
Sobering, that one.
Yeah.
People making six figures are stressed out about money.
Okay, 42%. Think about this. 42% of workers earning more than $100,000 per year still struggle with financial insecurity, showing you this. It's not about how much you make. It's about the system that you're operating in, and that's what I want to talk about today.
Yeah, so this has less to do with like budgeting tips.
No.
Right?
We're going to talk about this. Budgeting is a part of the overall plan, all right? But it's escaping this trap that's been set for men for generations. The world has sold us a complete lie, all right? They have told us this backward system about how to handle money. And until we understand that, we're going to fall into the same gold trap over and over and over again that everybody else has fallen. Going back to to Deuteronomy 17, the kings were falling into the same trap. And we've got to be careful that we don't do the same thing.
So you've one of the things I enjoy about being on your leadership is just how much you talk about the world's economy and the way or the systems of the world versus God's economy. That's just kind of the language we know around here for you guys listening that are part of our church. But break that down for us today, PC. What's the difference between those two?
Okay, think about this. Okay, when you typically go to a financial advisor, what is going to be his advice to you? A general, normal financial advisor is going to tell you what?
He'll probably tell me to earn as much as I can.
Okay.
Don't spend more than I can or more than I make.
Okay.
Save some money.
Yeah.
Invest if I got anything left. And then I would say last one, maybe give away something, if anything's left.
If anything's left.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the idea. Okay. So I got to earn.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I got to spend.
Yeah.
All right. I got to save. And then I've got to invest. And then I want to give. So most people, when they talk about that, though, spend the majority of the time talking about the first 1 to 2 or 3 things.
Because that's where most of the money's going anyway.
So at the end of the day, your problem is you don't earn enough. So therefore, you got to go figure out how you can earn more money.
Make more money.
You got to go get a better job. You got to go to school to be able to get more educated so that you can earn more money. Second thing is you got to learn how to spend your money, all right? So I don't want to spend more than I make. But at the end of the day, I want to spend more. So what do I got to do? I got to go make more.
Exactly.
And so therefore, it's this whole dynamic that gets put into it. And then third, the idea is to save. I would ask this question for what? Like emergency fund is a popular thing, which is a great thing. I don't think that's a bad thing. But then it's also a lot of times we're saving for security. So therefore, I got to keep saving. I stockpile, guys that just basically save, and they're trying to save for a rainy day. What are we? What is the day that it rains? Like, what are we talking about?
If it's in Houston, it might be 2 months.
Could be a while. But you save. Then the idea of it, like most people would tell you've arrived in the world's economy financially if you have enough money to get to that number 4, which is to invest. And that's when things get really fun. That's when money starts working for you and all that kind of stuff. But how many guys do we know that actually invest? They may gamble. They may do other stuff, but they're not investing. They're not putting money back on a systematic basis. And you hear very little
about giving,
about charitable giving. Did you know that charitable giving, this is a crazy stat, the average American gives 3% to charitable causes.
Hmm.
The average church person who knows Jesus gives 3.8%. What does this tell us? This tells us that we are living by the world's economy in the very same way. But here's the thing. God's economy flips the whole thing upside down. Here's its categories, okay? First thing you do is you give right off the bat. Number one thing you do. First, no matter what, you give. Second thing you do is you earn. Here's what happens whenever you give. It's a recognition and it's admitting that God is the author. God is the owner of all of these things. God owns it all.
To realignment. So therefore,
I'm giving him this not to pay him off, not to pay him back, but instead I'm giving this because this is what you do. You give to the giver. It then leads to you earning, and it changes to where now I am not identified by how much I make, but instead my earning begins to help determine my purpose. Like I'm working for a reason, so therefore I can work at a very high earning job and make a lot of money, and that's great. Or I can go be a teacher who's going to be somewhat capped in how much I can make. But guess what? I can find great fulfillment. Why? Because ultimately I know I've given it to God first. He's in control, and it leads me then to that earning, which then changes how I spend my money.
You know, all of this sounds countercultural, and it is.
Radically.
Because it's extremely countercultural to God's economy. But it seems really backwards, right? Like giving first before you know what you have to give.
Yep.
What most financial advisors would tell you that that's not very wise.
Wait and see if you do it. That is the benefit of living in God's economy. And if you want to avoid the trap of gold, then you've got to understand this massive principle called first fruits. The scriptures say in Proverbs chapter 3, honor the Lord with your first fruits and with the first fruits of all your wealth. What it's trying to suggest is this, is that I'm supposed to live in such a way where I don't wait to see if I have something at the end of the month. I instead, the very first thing that I do is I go and I give as the first fruits, the best, the top portion, the number one thing. And therefore, by doing that, what I'm essentially doing is I'm essentially saying, God, I am going to live off of 90%. And I am going to allow you to have the best, not just 10%, but the best 10%, the first 10%. I don't want to get legalistic about it, but I mean, like, it's the idea, like, if you're sitting down, you're writing checks out and you're paying your bills, if you were to literally go out and physically write physical checks.
Do y'all still use physical checks? Okay.
We automate our giving. I want to talk about that later. But the idea is that first thing I do, first check, if you go back old school, the first check you would write would be towards the church. Because I'm not going to see if I have enough at the end. It's the first thing I do, which then I earn, then it leads to spending, then it leads to saving, and then ultimately it leads to investing.
That's an interesting principle to talk through. One of the things that I was taught early in my kind of biblical stewardship days was that when you give first, it is so countercultural to what we do that it is actually separating you from the things that you make.
Totally.
Like it's actually separating your identity from the money that you make and the worth that's found in your money. When you give it away, it's almost like you're releasing the tether, if you will, to the world. And
Matthew 6 says it. It says that where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. And so literally, if you want to change your heart's perspective on something, then you give money towards it. Let's just say this. If you were to invest, if you get down to the bottom of this and you were to invest in Apple stock, do you know how much Apple stock is right now?
I have no idea.
No clue. I guarantee you, if you put $1,000 down on Apple stock, I promise you, you'd be able to answer that question. You want to know why? Because you'd check it.
You're
interested in it.
Yeah.
You're invested in it.
Yeah.
You're there. In the same way, I would simply tell you this. What God's trying to say is the first fruits puts you to where you're investing in God's economy. And so therefore, you're going to care now what God says about what you should spend your money on. You're going to care what God says about where you should earn your money. You're going to care about how much you should save, not just saving for a rainy day, but believing in the one who sends the rain.
Yeah, it's good.
It's a whole different mentality. And you're right. That tethering that you described is a physical feeling of a spiritual reality.
That's good.
Because that's what happens whenever I'm telling you, you want to know how you fall into that gold trap, is that you don't worry about what I got to give to the Lord. You pay him off if you got anything left at the end of the month, and you find that your heart is consumed with all of the gold. How do I get more of it?
Yeah.
How do I spend more of it? How do I make sure that I can save more of it in case things go bad?
Yeah.
Instead of finding yourself at a place where it's like, no. I'm going to fight. I'm going to literally fight the temptation and the lie that comes at me when it relates to gold by doing the very first thing, which is I'm going to give 10% away.
Wow.
Which, by the way, I set a specific number.
Yeah, you did.
Right. And I don't back off on that.
Yeah.
Okay. I know that I want to get super practical. The Bible calls us to give a tenth. A tithe is literally what the word means. Tithe means tenth, 10%.
Yeah.
Like right off the top, 10%. Now, before you freak out, let me tell you something, okay? This kind of blew my mind in my study.
Okay.
What I discovered in the Old Testament, God's people actually had 3 different tithes.
Ooh.
3 different ones, okay? One tithe supported the priests and the Levites, basically the people doing the ministry work. That would be equivalent to our situation of giving to the local church.
And we're thankful.
Yes, there's no question. As priests and Levites, we thank you, okay? Another tithe was for religious festivals and community events. Remember, Israel was a nation state, okay? So it wasn't just a spiritual community, it was also like a political and a national community, okay? So this is basically like giving money to the government.
All right.
That's basically what that's like for them to be able to do city services. Same idea, okay? And then they would have a tithe every few years, every 3 years, for taking care of orphans or widows and the poor. So you have one tithe to the church, you got one tithe for the community, and then you've got a tithe every 3 years to help out the poor and the widows and all of that.
So that equals like what, 23%?
23%. Exactly. And here's the thing, Josh, these are not wealthy people. Like, don't get this idea that somehow they're like, oh, well, that makes sense for them because they had more. No. We make so much more money. Everybody listening to me right now, the very fact that you're listening to me on some sort of device,
It's true.
you got money.
Yeah.
And so these people were way poor. They worked way harder for their money. But here's the key. They understood something that we have forgotten.
What is that exactly?
That everything that they have comes from God in the first place. And so the tithe wasn't them giving God their money. It was them recognizing that it was all his money to begin with in the very first place.
There are people, right? I'm not going to name them. I got a few names in my head, though.
Sure,
but there are some folks that would tell you, like, well, I understand that, Pastor Chris, or I understand that, Akuba, but that's Old Testament law. That, you know, that's the Old Testament. We're not still supposed to do that, right? That seems like an outdated instruction.
Yeah, which I would say this. One, it's a great question, and I understand why the question is being asked. But here's the thing. Tithing actually shows up before the law was given. So this isn't like a law versus grace thing, okay? Abraham tithed. Jacob tithed. It's not a legal requirement. It's a recognition of who God is and who we are in relationship to him. Why would we ever expect that God would call us to do less under grace that he led us to and specifically pointed out in the law? And so the idea is that how can I don't have to do the tithe. I would say the tithe is the floor of your giving, not the ceiling of your giving.
And so this isn't really about rules.
No, gosh, no. But it is clear what the rules are.
Yeah.
Like we can't get away from.
Yeah.
This is one of those issues that I'm going to read it for you. Malachi chapter 3, verses 8 through 10. Here's what it says, okay? It says, will man rob God? Okay, wait a second.
Pretty heavy.
That's not. That's not suggesting. Hey, if you feel like it, you should.
Yeah.
No, doesn't say that. Okay. Yet you are robbing me. But you say, how have we robbed you? In your tithes and contributions. You are cursed with a curse, for you are robbing me, the whole nation of you. Bring the full tithes into the storehouse, that there may be food in my house, and thereby put me to the test, says the Lord of hosts, if I will not open the windows of heaven for you and pour down for you a blessing until there is no more need. I would say you 2 things I think are key here. One, you're stealing. Like you're straight up stealing.
He says robbed.
Yeah, like I'm just. Well, I don't. I mean, what should I do? I don't feel like I have enough to be able to tithe. So you should just only tithe. You should only steal from. I want to do less than 5%. Oh, so you're only stealing 5 stores as opposed to 10 stores? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, so a little bit of that, like, just call it what it is. Like, let's not sugarcoat it. Call it something different. Call it what it is. But the second thing, more importantly, he says, test him. Like he's not saying this to you as one, yes, to slap your hand and get onto you, but more importantly to say, hey, you are missing out.
Yeah, one of the things that I really enjoyed about the last series we did, particularly on just biblical stewardship, was just a lot of communities were giving more, yet they made less.
Yeah.
And that's probably one of the most sobering things
Sure.
because it levels it. It says, hey, it has nothing to do with how much you've accumulated. It has everything to do with the obedience in which you want to follow through from. But that's a really big claim, Pastor Chris. And so how does this actually work? Okay.
Yeah.
How do we actually move into a place where we can do some practical application stuff?
Remember,
with biblical stewardship.
what we're about to talk about too is to help you not fall victim to that gold idea. The kings, they were being put into place and said, man, don't go down that road of getting silver and gold. Here's what Hillary and I do. We automate our giving. Okay. You asked me about checks. I haven't written a check in years, literal years. Okay.
I don't think I know.
I've Zelled a lot.
It sounds bad. I don't think I know how to write a check.
That's fair enough. I mean, I can't remember the last time. I think I may have some checks from like 2 houses ago. So like the addresses are bad. I haven't even updated them, kind of a thing.
Okay.
But we automate our giving so that immediately when we get paid, it's gone. Because what I don't want to do is fall victim into the prey to be like, do we have enough at the end of the month to be able to give? I don't even, that's a question, like in the same way that I never want to ask the question, are we going to go to church today?
Yeah.
I don't ever want in our family to be able to say, are we going to give this month?
It's almost like if you wait, you'll find a reason to keep it.
I would. I'm the pastor of the church. I would.
Yeah.
I would assume you would.
Yeah,
Right. And
this
so
is true.
there's no question because stuff's going to come up.
Yeah.
You're going to have unexpected expenses or unexpected desires or whatever. You're going to, I mean, we can make excuses for any kind of thing we want to. Right.
Yeah.
And so what we do is we automate it. And that just basically doesn't allow us to calculate and then discern. It says it right away. This is what we're going to do. And here's what I've found. Okay. We have never once gone without.
Now, when you say never, like, do you mean like never?
I'm saying that we have had situations to where we've had miraculous envelope moments in the mailbox provision. We've had people walk up to me that handed me a check for the exact amount of money that we needed to go pay for stuff. I'm not telling you that it's always been with time to spare.
Yeah, of course.
But I'm telling you never, never once. And what I'm telling you is this, 90 is greater than 100.
PC, can I ask you a question? Because we get this a lot. And so we hear those stories. And when I hear stories like that, I'm like, man, that ain't never happened for me.
Sure.
I want an envelope moment, you know?
Sure.
Could it be that some people may actually give in expectation of that mailbox moment? Were you guys expecting that mailbox moment when you gave?
Not even. We were mad. We were frustrated. I was crying out to the Lord being like, hey, what the heck?
Yeah.
I've done what you've asked me to do and you haven't done. I think that's because of the lack of expectation is what made it so amazing. I got in my office right now.
We've seen
I've got the envelope there. This is a way to remind me and show
awesome.
me what it looks like for God's provision. I would tell you this to the person one, this isn't prosperity deal. This isn't like name it and claim it. This isn't like you give in order to do this. And the reason that you don't have provision and the reason God's blessings aren't pouring down on you is because you're not sowing a seed of faith in this. That's prosperity. That's heresy is what it's called. Okay.
Yeah, let's call it what it is.
That being said, God's word is clear. He desires to bless us.
Yeah.
And in this specific area, what I have found, and what I would tell you, Josh, you've said you never experienced it. You just wait. You just wait.
I'm excited now.
Because you need to go and see. Here's what God will do. He will either at times provide through miraculous mailbox situations, or what he typically does is he provides through manna every single day when you wake up, available for you to have something to eat. That's what God does.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's huge, and then a lot of times it's the slow drip.
Yeah.
To where you can just look back and you've been married for 8 months. And guess what? Man, you've had it good.
Yeah.
You've not once been without. Could you wish you had more? When the car breaks down, do you feel like you're wondering how you're going to do it? All those types of feelings, yes. But man, on some sense, like if you just had all those things just given to you, the reality is you wouldn't appreciate them. You just expect it. Instead, your prayer life gets better. Your relationship with the Lord gets better. Your intimacy with your wife gets better because you're walking through these challenges and these trials together. And man, I would just tell you, God provides in not just the financial blessings, he also provides in his relationship with with you and your relationship with others and your perspective and of life, to where I believe sometimes if God gave us the things that we think we want so badly when it comes to money, it would crush us, and it would be the very same thing that was warned about in Deuteronomy 17, where it was like, hey man, don't pick a guy who's looking for this stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's going to take him out.
Yeah.
And that's not what we want to have be the case for us.
You know, logically, it doesn't make sense. Mathematically, it doesn't make sense. I mean, you think about the greater than, less than sign, 90 greater than 100. But I would love for you to speak just a little bit to the people who are really struggling.
Yeah, for sure.
Financially. Like, if there's somebody that's like barely making ends meet, I know we've talked about it doesn't matter how many zeros are in the bank account, but to an extent it does.
There's people that, that are really,
that are really struggling. So how can they give 10%?
This is going to sound crazy. I know that. Okay. But here's what I've seen. Sometimes the people who are struggling the most are the ones who need to start tithing the most.
Okay, I need you to break that down.
Okay. I've had people tell me that I can't afford to tithe while they're spending money on things that they really don't need. Or they're living paycheck to paycheck, but they've never actually tracked where their money goes. Okay. Sometimes starting to tithe forces you to get serious about your finances in a way you never have before.
So it's not really just about finances is what I'm hearing. It's also about, there has to be a discipline about this as well.
It's about trust. It's not about money. I've seen people get unexpected raises. I've seen people find money they didn't know that they had. I've seen people have expenses drop in ways that they didn't previously expect. It's God honoring their faith by taking care of them in a way that they couldn't take care of themselves. He says it in Malachi, test me. So the person who would say, man, I can't afford to tithe. I'm telling you, hear me, man, lead your family. You can't afford not to tithe.
Yeah.
If you got to sell the couch that you're sitting on listening to this to be able to tithe, do it. I'm telling you, God will show you things that you would have never seen by sitting on the couch and not doing it.
Yeah, but you know, there are going to be some people that are like, church just wants some money. You know, and it's like, I just really think they're just trying to get more money out of me or that. Can you speak to that at all?
No question about it. And I would say, I get it. You got the right to be cautious. There are people that have abused this stuff. There are people that have used God like a vending machine, trying to put their money in and trying to get rich. But it's about learning for you to trust God with the most practical area of your life. If you were to come to me, and I was a doctor, okay? And I was a medical doctor. I am a doctor. So
you are a doctor.
I am.
Dr. Kuba.
But if I was a medical doctor and you were to come and wanted to check up, and I didn't tell you about certain things going on that I noticed that were causing you to be able to be unhealthy, am I going to be considered to be a good doctor?
No,
not at all. In the same way, if God is calling me to be a shepherd over your soul, men who's listening to this, if God is calling me by you listening to this, you've entrusted me. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to be able to speak life and wisdom from God's word into you. I would simply tell you this: you cannot grow spiritually if you don't grow in your finances. It's just like you said earlier, that tethering that takes place that you described, it can only happen when you get serious about this. So the difference is the heart behind it. Are you giving because you want God to bless you financially? Or are you giving because you recognize that everything that you have comes from God anyway? You're not, one is trying to manipulate God. The other is acknowledging reality.
That's a great source. And that's a great sentence. I'm going to say it again. One of those mindsets is trying to manipulate God, right?
Sure.
It's almost like you're playing the stock game with God. The other one is just acknowledging reality and being obedient to what God has called you to do. But honestly, let's talk for just a moment. What about the people that like legit can't do 10%?
Yeah. Well, start somewhere.
Okay.
So if you need to give a gift for the very first time, then I think you need to give a gift to your local church. If you're here at United City, it needs to be United City. If you listen to this and you go somewhere else, it needs to be somewhere else, okay? But you need to give something. Figure out ways that you can get on the percentage, and whatever track you're thinking that it's going to take to get there, I'll get here in 3 years. I'll get here in 2 years. Half it.
Yeah, that's true.
Push yourself.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you're never going to see God's great provision unless you stake out bigger steps of faith.
Yeah.
The issue is not his ability. The issue is your willingness to obey.
That's good.
And so therefore you just got to take a big leap, right?
Yeah.
And so, but I get it. For some of you, you're like, man, there's literally no way. I'm either in debt or whatever. Then then I tell you, here's what you need to do. Start with something, but also too, get some help.
Yeah.
Like get some help. Like if If 10% feels impossible, start with 1% or 2%. It's not about the percentage, it's developing that habit of putting God first with your money. As trust grows and your financial situation improves, you can increase it. But I would simply tell you this, I would not play games with this, man. Because most people are going to find the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
If you're in massive debt, then figure out ways you can get in Financial Peace University. We've got here to the church. Look it up online. You can also find other places. And go and get some help. And let that be an avenue for you to start the process, for you to be able to get out of financial debt. Because it's not just about debt. It's way more about financial freedom and living in God's economy
It's the same thing you tell us about fasting. Like, hey, whatever one you're going to choose,
go up.
Go up.
Yep.
Just do the one that's like, right, a step above it. But what's the challengers for those listening this week? What's the challenge?
I think you need to, 3 things. Let me just give you 3 things, okay? Understand first, these aren't just financial tips. This is designed to keep you from falling into that gold trap that destroys so many men. Think about it. Remember those guys that we've talked about in the past? The one, the guys that we know that are buying stuff that they can't afford. The ones that are thinking that they're tied. You mentioned this last episode about the guy who got the job and always flexing about the job and all that he's doing. He's workaholic. His security comes from that. At the end of the day, that's going to lead down a road that's going to be building a kingdom to themselves instead of trusting in God's kingdom. So give something.
Okay.
I'd say if you're here today, give something. Start by giving today, even if it's a small amount. This breaks the lie that your security comes from how much that you hoard. Because every time that you give, you're declaring, God, I trust you more than I trust my bank account.
Yeah.
Okay. It literally rewires your brain and it helps you to stop measuring your worth by your net worth.
Yeah, this is good. It's not just money management. It's shaping you to trust God and to protect you from falling into the gold trap.
Yep. Let me give you a second. Number 2, some of you need to move from a tip to a tithe. Okay. Let's just first of all talk about the tipping culture. It's gotten out of hand. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would agree.
I was down at an event recently downtown, and I get down there, and I didn't know I was going to valet, and so we showed up. It was like a big fundraising banquet type thing. So we ended up having a valet, and I go to pay, and they don't take credit cards.
Ooh.
Or they did inside.
Yeah, but not at the.
They didn't do it at the deal, and the ATM was down.
Yeah,
so I couldn't get cash, and it's on me. I didn't have cash. I get it, but like I go to the credit card deal, and they won't let me. They pay for the valet, but they wouldn't let me tip on the credit card.
Oh wow!
So I got nothing.
Yeah, and the guy's probably like
the guy pulls up. And I do the dap up kind of deal, but I'm not giving them the money handshake. And man, I got in that car and I drove off as fast as I possibly could.
Oh yeah.
Because I was just at that point, I'm just like, well, why do these guys expect tips anyway? I mean, I just paid $17 for the valet. Why do I have to tip? And I think I just described how some people view when it comes to the offering plate that gets passed around the church. Right?
Speak to it.
They're reluctant. Oh, it stinks. I got to do this and whatever, like clean out their wallet or whatever. And they're just tipping. They're reluctantly tipping. And when I'm asking you to do, some of you need to move from 2% to 5%, from 5% to 8%. Most of you, though, need to move for whatever percent you're doing to 10%. And it doesn't mean, well, I got all these other ministries. I'm not saying cut it out from other ministries. I'm saying sacrifice more from yourself. And you instead give tithe 10%. Let that be your entry point. We give 13% of our money to the church. Right? I mean, we want to increase our percentage on a continual basis is what our goal is, to live in such a way that that's the case. And so I want to just encourage you, if you're here today, stop tipping and start tithing.
Yeah. It's not about the percentage. You've said that a few times. It's about breaking the grip that money has on your heart.
No question.
And so step 3.
But don't mess with it.
It's true.
Like, but do the percentage like you're supposed to.
Yeah.
But yes, there's no question. I would tell you though, man, it is about, you got to make sure that you realize that the finances aren't who you are. They're not a representation of your identity. If you're here today and you're already tithing, ask this: what does God want you to do that's above and beyond? Tithing is the floor, not the ceiling. Here's why this matters for men specifically. When you become an above and beyond giver, you stop having the control of fear that you're not going to have enough.
So this really is about freedom from that financial pressure we talked about early on. in the episode.
And it's literally a way that you can have spiritual warfare against that trap, which constantly, we talked about earlier, people are going to be talking to us saying, hey man, I need this. I want this. I should have
Of course.
This keeps you from being able to do that. And it lets you be freed up to be able to be a generous giver who gets to live and have your money not own you.
So you're saying that these practical steps are actually spiritual warfare against the lies that trap so many men.
No question. No question, man. It's going to free you in so many ways. And I want to talk more though. We don't have time to do it this episode, but I want to talk more just about how to handle money. Like it's even more practical tips. But I'm just telling you, if you don't give first, if you don't tithe first, if you don't give of your first fruit, that's the very first thing you got to do to break free from this gold trap. But there's not just that. There's more after that because God has a whole plan, not just on tithing. He's got a whole plan on how you handle your economy, his economy in general.
Yeah, this is good. Guys, we want to hear your stories this week. If you try this challenge, hey, send us a message and let us know what happens. And remember that every day is a chance for you to step up and to step out of the traps that will destroy you. Until then, stay strong, stay generous, and keep stepping up. Don't let the gold trap define your worth.
That's good.
You're worth more than what you can provide. You're worth more than what you can provide.
That's good.
We'll see you soon. Thanks for listening to the Step Up Podcast. Do us a favor and like, subscribe, and share this episode to help us get the word out. We would love to hear from you. So please leave us a comment and even leave us a review wherever you listen to your podcast. For additional information or to reach out directly, please visit chriskuba.com. That's chriskuba.com. You can also follow Pastor Chris on social media and just search Chris Kuba. Kuba is Kouba. You can also follow United City Church on all socials at United City Church. That's going to be UNTD City Church. Thanks so much.